What is up, Gasser Nation? Welcome back to the Aces High 57 Chevy build. We got the rear end in, all the rear suspension is complete and everything, and I'm going to show you guys that and give you a close-up of all the paint work and everything I've done underneath the rear end. Polished rear wheels, magnesium wheels that I've been meaning to put on this thing, and got them sitting pretty good. Got a couple little things that I need to do as far as the wheel openings and stuff like that. Some adjustments need to be made, and a few other things, but for the most part all that's done, and now we can move on to the front and other stuff. So stay tuned and we'll go through it all. Alright guys, so I'm up here on a Friday night working on the Aces High. Tonight I'm focusing on the wheels. These are 1969-ish American Racing. They call them bear paws, that's the common name. They're magnesium, 16-inch diameter by 11 inches wide, 2 3/4 back spacing. These are the wheels that I want to run on the car. Like I said, I'm shooting for that 1969, 1970 period look, and these are perfect for that. Somebody had painted them kind of silver, so I think I'm going to try a couple things, but I know I'm going to polish the lip. I'd really like to polish the whole wheel, but right now I'm going to try something with some gold. I'm doing some gold accents on the car to kind of go with the theme. So I'm going to see how these clean up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to chuck them up in the brake lathe, so that gives me a good rotation, and just start working on them with Scotch-Brite pad, you know, by hand as they rotate, and then start working with sandpaper and see if I'll be able to get a decent polish on the lip. And then I may look into painting that center section some other color too. All right guys, so we got this is a 120 grit finish. Still working on it. There's a lot of bits and stuff. I got another little oscillating sander I'm going to try also, some scratches here. So I'm just going to keep working with this 120. I'm just going up to this lip here, and then the inside is going to be painted in different colors. But yeah, I mean, it's looking pretty good so far, other than the rims just being in pretty bad shape and scratched up. I think we can probably work most of that out. I got down to 1500 on the wheels. I'm not going to do a tutorial on how to polish. I'm sure there's lots of good ones online, but essentially starting out with 80 grit, and I use this on a brake lathe, so I get a spin already. It gives me a big advantage. Use that on a little rectangular oscillating sander. So do 80, try to get as many pits out of them as I can, then go to 180, and then I went to 320 on the sander, the air sander, and then to 400 wet by hand, and then to 600 wet by hand, and then to 1000 wet by hand, and then this is 1500 wet by hand. I would go 2000, but I ran out of 2000 paper, so but 1500 was fine. Then I'll take my mothers on my drill with my little cloth pad, do a section, polish it, and it's going to be awesome. Alright, so I've just got me a little 2-finger scoop of Mother's Mag and aluminum polish, and this stuff is the best as far as I'm concerned. And we'll just take it and smear it on a section and do about 1/3 of the wheel at a time. So pretty well turned all that black. So I'm gonna get another fresh cloth, good clean one. Go back in my hand and just wipe that off of there. Bam, looks awesome. And then what I'll do is I'll take a little bit more of it. Actually, I could just get this cloth, reuse it. Put a real light coat on there, because that black stuff is kind of hard to come off, and then I'll basically polish that little section by hand, go a little bit further with it. Yeah. My bad. guys, so we're underneath the car. We've got the rear end and everything in. It's all painted. Bottom side of the car is painted. Try to get some decent light under here, but cross members in, ladder bars are in and painted. I decided to go with this color scheme, kind of a gold color on the ladder bars. Did the strange third member in gold, and then got the panhard bar. Let's keep the rear end centered and keep it from moving. And then got the shock mount bar up there, and then got the got my pullovers in on the back. I'm gonna get a video from the top side too. But yeah, it's come a long way. It's looking really killer. Pretty excited about this stuff. And even the old bottom of the frame and body looks pretty good painted. So you can see that's where the ladder bars are at this current ride height. I wanted to try to keep them visible from the side of the car if at all possible. So we're trying to balance that with ride height and the shock adjustment and everything. So that's kind of the next challenge. Got the wheels polished up. They're already starting to tarnish, which is pretty standard for magnesium, but that's all right. I'll hit them in a couple days with some more mothers and shine them back up. All right, and a view from the top so you can see better the shock mounts. Rear end is in. Still got to touch up some paint where we welded in the panhard bar. It's in there. We went ahead and originally the plan wasn't to cut out the trunk floor, but it was pretty rotten, and just for easier access on fabrication and everything, we decided just to go ahead and cut it. Going to mini tub it. You know, so just decided to cut all that stuff out of the way and get it out of the way so we can get this stuff done quickly and efficiently. And like I said, we can always go back with sheet metal, so go back with aluminum in here and save a little weight, and it'll look more tidy and it won't be rotten. So, but yeah, it turned out pretty killer. Pretty excited about it. Now rear end is done. Pretty much just got to do sheet metal back here and tidy all that stuff up, and then all that's good to go. So here it is sitting on the rear end and the rear suspension as it's going to be. As I mentioned in the description, came really close to making a mistake with it. It looks great, looks absolutely killer with these wheels. This is the wheels that I set out to run. These tires aren't exactly the ones that I'm going to run. The ones that I'm going to run have a tiny bit, about a 1/2 inch wider tread width, and they'll be about 1.5 inches shorter than these. These are 33-inch tall tires. I feel like they're a bit too tall for the car, so we'll go a little bit shorter than that. But the M&Hs have proven to be hard to find. I can't find any used ones, so I'm gonna have to buy new ones. That's a big chunk of cash. So for right now, these are fine to mock up the car with. As you can see, the rear end is not completely centered in the wheel opening. Whenever we cut it, went a little further back, mainly because I just cut it as far forward as I could without getting into the structural part of it. But I'm gonna have to cut it a bit more, so that's okay. Like I said, I just cut it a bit more and try to keep this gap, especially once we get the new tires. We're gonna need a little bit of gap for suspension travel and everything too, so we don't want it to cut the tire. So, but as you can see, what I like is the tread width being pretty well even with the quarter, or maybe out a little bit further. The near mistake was we actually got the rear end a bit too narrow than we anticipated. So it's kind of hard to measure. We did all the measuring and everything, but the goal was to make it so that with these wheels, it would actually hang out a bit further. That way we could run a more standard backspace 15-inch wheel if I wanted to. With a 15-inch wheel, those are going to be 10 inches wide. These wheels are 11 inches wide, 2 3/4 backspace. Most of the 15-inch wheels are 3.5 or 4-inch backspace and only 10 inches wide. So that's going to suck them in at least another inch from where they are now, which will make the car look funny. I don't want a tucked look, you know. And right now, like I said, it sits pretty much perfect. I like the sidewall of the tire being outside of the quarter, just like that. The tread width is pretty much dead even with the quarter panel, which is pretty much perfect. With the brakes and everything on the car, so the rotors are 1/4 inch. you know, you got some spacing in there. So even with a spacer, you know, you really don't want to have to run a spacer on a drag car if you can get away with it. These are 5/8 studs with pretty long shanks, you know, so I could if I wanted to, but kind of what I've done is pigeonhole myself into having to run these wheels, which is totally fine. I love the wheels, but like I said, to run a more standard 10-inch wide by 15 diameter wheel, it's gonna tuck the tires in more than I would want it. But like I said, it is what it is. We got it in there. It looks killer. I'm super happy with it. And gonna show you guys a little bit more. Gonna show you guys my process of polishing these wheels. If you've seen them around, I took pictures of them. They're super gray and tarnished, so went through polishing them and they turned out killer. Carried out this gold theme. Kind of decided to just go all the way with it and commit to the gold. And I think it's gonna work. The whole theme is gonna be red, black, and gold with the entire car, so we'll carry it out. And you'll see the underneath, did the ladder bars in gold, and gonna be doing some front suspension stuff in gold and everything too. So, but yeah, guys, I'm super stoked. It's got an absolutely killer look, and that's what I wanted. Super beefy, tough look. Very excited about it. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this episode. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Please subscribe if you get the chance to, if you haven't already. Subscribe, and you can hit the little bell beside the subscribe button, and that'll send you notifications whenever I post a new video. Posting videos every single week, so there's always something new to look at, whether it aces high or event coverage or features on another car. So yeah, be sure to do that. It really helps me out. Merch store is up and running and everything, so gastronation.bigcartel.com. Be sure to check that out. Social media, Instagram, Facebook, I post every single day on those. And it's another hot day here in Mississippi, but thank you guys again for tuning in. And now we're going to move on to the front suspension. Inside, we're just kind of working our way from the bottom back up and forward, so there's a lot more left to do, but it's come a long ways. Thank you.